As you could tell by the chairs, the panel is next. I'd love to welcome the panelists to the stage. Taking the stage now, Dipti Borkar. Dipti has a long history of leadership positions in the data space, Alluxio, Kinetica, Couchbase, IBM, some DB2, currently at Microsoft as VP and GM, responsible for Azure Databricks and sort of data developer experiences. Next up, we have Mingmin Chen, Director of Engineering at Uber, and his team operates Kafka, Pinot, Flink, and powers things that are critical to me getting around occasionally. Thank you. So next up we have Kranti Parisa. He's an author, startup founder. He's got a background at Apple, Comcast, a lot of places, a couple of books. I don't have any questions on those books, but you're welcome to talk about them. Currently VP of Engineering at Dialpad. And also we have Shaun. He is the Chief Product Officer at Confluent. Before that, he's been Chief Product Officer at MuleSoft, Metromile, and a background in product leadership at Atlassian. You may know Jira Agile. And he's history in pre-sales, data, growth. I guess you could say he's a man of many parts. Anyway, welcome to the panel. It's a SaaS world that's almost a cliche. I don't know that we have all really appreciated the transformation that SaaS has brought to like every aspect of the way we work. But focusing on what we do today, how do you think it drives the demand for real-time analytics specifically? Is there a relationship there?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first off, thank you for having us here. Exciting topic, certainly to discuss. SaaS has changed several things, and honestly, even in the last year, I was reflecting. I was here a year ago at the summit last year, and I was reflecting on what has changed since then. SaaS has sort of affected us in a couple of different ways. Number one, it's proliferated the number of resources, sources, and databases, and the systems of information that people want to aggregate together, right? And so what this has done is just there's an explosion of whether it's databases, data lakes, SaaS applications, CRM systems, ERP systems. All of these are systems that increasingly enterprises, organizations want to collect this information and analyze it, right? So that explosion means that the distributed systems that are on the receiving end, whether it's streaming, whether it's a database or an engine, they need to handle a lot more sources. A lot more source information, a lot more data. And so that's one aspect of SaaS. The other aspect of SaaS, as consumers are increasingly getting used to, is whether it's a data engineer or whether it's a citizen data scientist or a data analyst, increasingly they want no code. And that's the other aspect of SaaS, right? As they're using these technologies to process this data, collect this information from a range of sources, they want to use less and less code. And in terms of what Kishore just talked about, serverless, SaaSification of these complex systems is what the expectation is now for the folks that work with data, like all of us. And so that's the other aspect. So SaaS is sort of affecting things in a couple of different ways. Need for handling a lot more data, a lot more volume at a higher velocity, but also increasingly no-code, low-code experiences.
All right, excellent. Mingmin, your tenure at Uber, thinking specifically of Apache Pinot as a technology that y'all have been early adopters of, what part of Pinot's arc at Uber have you been a part of? How kind of tell that story from Uber's perspective?
Sure. So it's an interesting question. So first off, thanks for having me here. Mm-hmm. Really excited, right? So I joined Uber in 2015, right? I joined as a senior software engineer in the streaming platform team. There was no Pinot at that time in 2015, of course, right? So we brought, not at Uber at that time, so we brought Pinot to Uber in 2016. We spin up like a team out of the streaming platform team. And we started onboarding like business critical use cases. The very first one, one of the typical one that we often saw in the Pinot introduction or videos, like is the Uber Eats restaurant manager, right? This is one of the typical example we're seeing, and more use cases we are onboarding to Pinot, and it became like the de facto real-time analytics engine at Uber. It consolidated all other use cases that we have on ClickHouse, on MemSQL, and we deprecate those systems at Uber, right? And we also onboarded like some Elasticsearch use cases on Pinot, right? And the scale grows dramatically, right? And nowadays it's really like a critical and indispensable, like critical infrastructure and analytics engine that we cannot live without it, right? So I have observed, many of like the success stories that we work with our use cases, and are really proud to be part of this journey and looking forward to more use cases to be onboarded.
Kranti, for y'all at Dialpad, number one, maybe give folks a quick view of what Dialpad's business is. And for you there in leading engineering, Kishore talked about sort of the inevitability of real-time. What drove you to adopt real-time analytics there?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me. Dialpad is a business communications company. By definition, communication needs to be real time, right? So, you cannot be answering a phone call like an hour after. You have to talk right now. So Dialpad has both internal communication tools and then external communications tools. So internal communications like your business phone systems, and then your meetings, and then your messaging like Slack and all these things does. But then the external communications means we do offer contact center softwares and sales software. So if you're a consumer, you're calling into a contact center, hey, I have a problem with my billing, and the agent needs to talk to you right now, right? So we do both internal and external communications for all the businesses, and real time is part of the game for us. And even before starting Pinot, real time analytics is one of the fundamental features of our products and what we offer to the customers. And we were using a data warehousing kind of technology, but then we were using it to power real-time analytics. So it's not like the best tool for the best use case. So when I came into Dialpad, so started looking into hey, what systems we are using and stuff, and we found a lot of opportunities to optimize our analytics story. And the motivation is twofold. One is we want to be extremely performant, how we serve the queries, how we serve analytics. And the second thing is obviously the efficiency, right? So we're spending a lot of money, and when I looked at the P95 latencies, this is not what we should be paying for this kind of latencies. And so started looking into different options, and evaluated bunch of things out there, and we couldn't be happier with the results that we found with the POC with Pinot. And yeah, it's faster, better, cheaper. What else you need?
There you go. Now, Shaun, Confluent Cloud. I was at Confluent 3 years ago, and I remember there was a thing called Confluent Cloud. My guess is the current version is not a lot like that. It's sort of a ship of Theseus kind of thing. Yeah. But in Confluent Cloud as it is today, I'm going to guess there's real-time analytics that are internal facing, maybe from a observability and operational perspective. I would love to hear about that. And open question, is there anything user facing in Confluent Cloud that is being driven by real-time analytics? Just kind of talk about how that stuff works.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously people use Confluent to power all sorts of real-time experiences in the applications that they build using Confluent Cloud and Confluent. And so it's kind of like analytics all the way down, if you think about it that way. It's like, people are themselves embedding their analytics into their applications, Dialpad and other applications, Uber, for example. But obviously we also include like analytics for the purposes of understanding the way that data is moving to all of those different systems. And so in Confluent Cloud's user interface, you can understand what data is going from where to where, how much data is going from that place to that place, what is lineage of data, what is volume, client consumption, you know, kind of you want to slice and dice all of this thing. And often you're in hot pursuit of a problem. You're either in hot pursuit of a problem or an insight. And so it's really important that you kind of be able to see the wood for the trees, but then be able to dig into the details as well. And you know, in the olden days, which is, you know, in technology terms, 10 years ago, you know, that used to be really difficult. You used to be able to get like really high-level dashboards, or you could get like low-level graph-level capabilities. But now I think that capabilities like Pinot and others are really enabling like queries at the speed of human thought. It's funny because when I think back to, you know, the keynote that we just saw, one thing I really like is that it's really obvious that time is money. Like, I mean, that's a really old trite phrase, that time is money, and yet people are still trying to justify, is real time really necessary? And the answer is obviously yes, like literally obviously yes. Yeah. Dialpad, Uber, and others have shown that you can make a ton of money just by taking advantage of time, that by being faster. And so I think that's a really incredible opportunity ahead of all of us.
Love it, love it. Kranti, I don't think I said this when I was introducing you, but you have a background in AI and ML since, I'm going to say, before it was cool. Now, 10 years ago, ML was pretty cool.
I was born with AI.
Yeah, that's right. 10 years ago, actually, ML was already in a pretty cool phase, but in the current context, anything before November 2022 is before it was cool, and that's you. So is there an intersection, do you think, between AI and real-time things? In particular, generative AI? I mean, it's a trope, we have to talk about it, right? But I actually am kind of interested. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think, you know, if you think about AI, I mean, most of you probably are engineers and, you know, have been reading a lot of things out there. It's all about, you know, two key things that comes out of AI. One is the automation side of things, and the other one is the productivity, right? So the productivity example could be like, you know, okay, I just want to, like, you know, write an email for XYZ, or, you know, I want to, like, you know, write a customer proposal. AI can help you to, like, you know, give it the context, and then it can actually, like, help you with the initial draft, and then you can just edit and then, like, you know, send it out, right? So that's the productivity aspects of it. That's just an example. But then there is an automation aspect of it, like where you try to avoid the manual tasks and, you know, automate as much as possible. But the fundamental thing for automations, in my opinion, is insights, right? So you have to understand what's going on. Then you kind of, like, you know, configure the automations. Like, you know, okay, like, you know, so many, you know, requests coming in. Like, what should I do? Right? So there's more insights in terms of, like, you know, some people talk about fraud detections and anomalies and, you know, all of those things, but you have to know the data to do, you know, better job at automation. So in my opinion, I think it's a very good combination of having a real-time analytics engine that can serve your queries super fast and, you know, helps you to automate with AI. So I can give you, like, in a couple of examples. So for example, at Dialpad, like, you know, we do the contact center software, as I said, right? So it means, like, a lot of people calling into your contact center, and if a contact center is using Dialpad's technology, so we are AI first company, which means we compute live sentiment analysis as an example, right? So this customer is having a conversation, is this person happy or not happy, right? And then the supervisor, who is actually, like, you know, looking at the dashboards real time, like, you know, okay, I have 15 people in my billing department. Which agents are doing good and which agents are struggling right now in the moment, right? And then they see, like, oh, this person is, like, you know, having a bad call with a customer, so let me actually chime in. And then the people actually can chime in and then help you out, you know, help the agent and help the customer in turn, right? So there's a lot of value in terms of, like, you know, AI and real time together, and mostly to power the insights aspects of it.
I couldn't agree more on insights. I think that's a key part of, well, that's what analytics means. Like, we're looking back and we're trying to understand and have an insight mentally. So I guess if I could put that concretely, that's good old-fashioned classifiers, not so much transformers in AI terms in the current generation. That's
it's a lot of purpose-built models and use them for insights.
there you go.
Yeah, and Tim, if I may, as a Microsoftie, it'll be, I have to jump into the Gen AI conversation.
You can't not.
But jokes aside, I think it has changed the game, even just the last year, right? Increasingly, what customers, enterprises, organizations are asking for is for custom LLMs, custom SLMs on their own data, right? And that is being collected in real time. So data is arriving in real time. Immediately, instantly, they want to know and get information and insights, as Kranti was talking about, using a variety of techniques. It could be for productivity, where a co-pilot might be helpful, and in asking questions and making sure you have the LLM is trained on this data at the back. You could have obviously vector search, or you could have a vector index powering it at the back, and increasingly that's becoming important on all data, right? So batch data as well as real-time data. And on the other hand, this needs to be also integrated into applications. So there's the humans, the analysts who need this data in real time to make decisions, but also applications need to be completely end-to-end integrated with this entire ecosystem. So it's no longer that you have all of these disaggregated systems. Organizations are looking at end-to-end. From the time the data is generated to the time the insight is used within a decision, how does that exactly flow? And what are all the systems that are part of it? Increasingly, it's one system. That's where the cloud providers, that's where we're sort of headed with products like Microsoft Fabric is one system end to end. But the stack underneath is more important. Do you have all these pieces, including Gen AI now, including real time, to make sure you can get there?
Yeah. All right. No, it's a unavoidably important part of our life now.
Yes.
It is. Mingmin, as early adopters, again, super interested because you guys have been at this for a while. Some folks here are not. We're all still relatively early adopters, but they're just getting into it now. They haven't been doing it since 2015. What lessons have you and has Uber learned briefly that you could share with folks for the real-time analytics journey? And whether Pinot specific or Kafka or like whatever infrastructure component, just what are the lessons?
Sure. So since Pinot is mostly used for user-facing kind of analytics, right? So first off, we do want to be user-focused and customer-obsessed, right? We do work with many customer teams, and then with Ease, with Ads, with Frey, with many other marketing teams. And we know that every use case, they are different. There's no one size fits all, right? We do want to understand their pain points, their requirement, their SLA needs, right? So we can better make sure we can customize and choose the right, say, for example, data table type, indexes that fits their best needs, right? Second is, of course, we provide wide graph support for many use cases, but we cannot do it for every single use cases. We want to build ecosystem. We want to make sure we have self-servicing, tooling, UIs, and then to make sure that our customer team, they can easily use on board, and then providing observability dashboards, right, for them to really make sense of their data, making queries, right? And then third, of course, there are multiple offerings in this particular space. And at Uber, we have, we had MemSQL, ClickHouse, and our own in-house build, GPU-based analytics engine, right? At the end, we make a bet. We make a bet in Pinot, and we consolidate all the use cases into Pinot. Of course, along the journey, we build feature parities, we optimize for the performance and cost efficiency. So I would say like, we do want to make sure like we consolidate and making sure it's not like confusing for our end users. Last but not least, with the rapid growth of the Pinot usage at Uber, right? We do want to build the operational excellence. Of course, like quality is the very first feature that we provide to our end user, right? We want to build our automations and making sure like we provide the best quality and efficiency to our end user to make sure we have the success for our end user and also for the success for our team.
All right. Shaun, this, as I'm contemplating this next question, it sounds political-ish, and you're the panelist, so you get to choose the level of spiciness and detail that you want. But like from your perspective,
US elections coming up, so.
What's that?
You have US elections this year.
I didn't mean that kind of political.
Good.
No, that we would not. No, but like in terms of the ecosystem, from Confluent's perspective, what does the stack, the real-time analytics stack, look like? Thinking as a product leader, what are the components of the platform? What are the external integrations? Maybe you could just say, what's a completed streaming platform look like from the perspective of real-time analytics, and how does it connect to the world?
Yeah, I like the way Dipti started the conversation earlier. Realistically speaking, the landscape of the places where data is born, the things on which you want to achieve insights that will enable you to deliver competitive advantage, continues to get incredibly more complicated. It's not just SaaS, it's the home-built applications, it's everything, right? And that complexity exists for a reason. The reason is competitive advantage. You are building all of these systems for a reason. You're adopting all of these SaaS apps for a reason, and those things are specialized in their area to be the best you can be. So you have data being born in hundreds, thousands of different applications. And what's funny to me about what Kranti was talking about, machine learning and AI has been cool for a very long time, way beyond LLMs, and it's always been a problem of bringing together good data, like bringing together good quality data. So the first problem is getting the data, then the second problem is cleaning the data, then the third problem is getting the data in a form for which it will be useful to you downstream. And then from there, so when we talk about a real-time analytics stack, to me, you can't talk about the stack without also talking about how it gets there, like where it's coming from, how it gets there, how it's quality, how you make certain you're not kind of building a castle on top of sand. But what I really like about Pinot and the kind of the evolution of these real-time analytics stacks is that they're also kind of following industry trends, which is separating in some ways the storage from the processing of the data, and offering like pluggable indexing capabilities, so that kind of no matter what the underlying form of the data happens to be, whether it's GIS data, it's JSON data, whatever its kind of underlying form is, we're still able to drive high velocity insights. I don't think there's no one index to rule them all. There's no one machine learning algorithm to rule them all. There's no one anything to rule them all. The question is, okay, how do you enable yourself to plug in the pieces you need on top of quality data in the right place to get the insights that you need?
So often the key to success is making things easy to change, and that, I think, pluggability and integration insight that's the same statement, right? And couldn't agree more.
Yeah, and so could I just add one thing?
Of course.
And so, I think it was Kranti, you were talking about like the trade-off you're paying of like using a data warehouse to do specific queries or whatever. If at the P99 latency, the ROI on the cost and the ROI is like terrible. And so a lot of times people have been convinced that there is this one thing. There's this one, we'll retire all the other things. And it sounds like Uber have successfully retired a lot of other things and moved it all into Pinot, which is really great. So the question to me is like how you enable that type of pluggable agility so that you can meet your business goals, your cost goals, and everything else.
Yeah, and that's hard to do, but essential.
Yeah.
Panel, Shaun, Kranti, Mingmin, Dipti, thank you so much. Assembling a group of people with your background, your history, not easy. Thank you for making time and sharing insights with these folks.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely, thank you for having us.